What is up, everybody? Chris Curtis here for the Rockwall Sports Center Heath Hawk update. Of course, joined by my partner in crime, Steve Deere. Happy Hallows Eve to everybody. And Steve, I want to start real quick on volleyball. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to the Lady Hawks as they are co-district champions 6 times in a row. They've won a piece of that district championship. Of course, they are going down to Jewett-Leon High School to take on Conroe tomorrow. So we want to give them a big good luck tomorrow. Maggie and her squad, of course, they played Bishop Lynch on Friday. They lost 3-2, but they did have some players that were sitting out. But they did take one of the best teams in the private school in Texas to a 5th game, so that's very impressive for them. So they are on a roll. They are feeling good, despite that final season 86-game ending streak on Tuesday.
You had to mention that.
I had to mention. I know it's an impressive streak.
That's all right.
When you look back on it, that's one of the greatest streaks in the state of Texas in volleyball. I believe, as of I heard, it was the longest ever in the state of Texas.
I didn't know that.
Volleyball,
way to go, girls!
District title. So big props to them. Of course, they are district champions. So much love to them and Maggie and her squad as they look to go forward here in the playoffs. So look forward to seeing them tomorrow night. But here we're talking about football. It is a big win for your Rockwall-Heath Hawks. Of course, they won 50-27 over Mesquite on a Thursday night broadcast. Of course, and things are looking good, Steve. They're 4-1. They have a chance for a district championship. We can still talk about that for the Rockwall-Heath Hawks. A big game here against Longview on Friday. We'll talk about that Mesquite game here in a second, but we want to talk about this impressive run we're going on for the Heath Hawks. 4-1. A district championship still in sight for Rockwall-Heath. Of course, they need a big win against a team they have never beat. They're 0-3 against Longview, so it's going to be a tough place to play on Friday night. Talk about this game and what needs to happen for Rockwall-Heath to pull out a victory.
Well, everybody needs to come to play, for sure. Everybody has to bring their A game. You know, the last several weeks, what we've seen a little bit of is some parts are clicking, some parts not so much. I don't believe that they've really put it all together in a while now. Even in spite of a 50-27 win the other night, they looked really good doing that. There's still more in the tank, and everybody needs to come. It's not very often in high school that you have a shot at a district championship, meet your goals there, which was the preseason goal for every team is to win district and then see what you can do in the playoffs. Well, the goals are still there for them.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, it's right in front of them. So everybody brings their A game on Friday night with that in mind, that we still have all of our goals attainable here. I think that they can pull it off. Absolutely. There is nothing about looking at Longview that tells me that this is unattainable. We don't have a chance. No way. This Heath team is every bit as talented as them. And if everybody brings their A game and everybody puts 100% out there, they absolutely can win Friday night.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter. If Rockwall-Heath does win on Friday, it doesn't matter what Horn does over the week.
That's right.
It doesn't matter. They're going to be playing for district championship next week after next. So very exciting for Rockwall-Heath. Of course, let's go back to that Mesquite game real quick. As you mentioned, it kind of seemed like the cylinders were kind of clicking. There were obviously things you want to clean up. Things you want to take care of before you face a team like Longview. But I know we interviewed some of the guys after, and of course Tanner they were all feeling very confident. They're like, we've never played there before. Of course, this squad has never played. Rockwall-Heath has played there, but these guys had never been there before. So it's going to be really, it seems like Rockwall-Heath's first big test of this young 6A, since they've been in 6A, maybe the biggest test they're going to face, and one of the biggest, strongest atmospheres in the state of Texas.
I wouldn't say it's their first big test because they had a couple of them last year. They've had a couple of them this year. Some really fun games.
Environment-wise, it's going to be their biggest.
In terms of their biggest test, I think that you're right. Look, Longview is one of those places that it's an iconic place in the state of Texas to go play. I remember the last trip that he took out to Longview. I think it's been 4 years ago now. It's an impressive place. The whole town turns out. There's a lot of pageantry pre-game, the band marching in and circling the field, the entire town turning out for it, and they really support their team. It's going to be senior night that night, so there's going to be even extra energy in the air. This is as close as you get at the high school level to having a college atmosphere. And it's a neat place to play. And if you can't get up for this game and get excited about the environment that you're going to be in and come ready to put 100% on the field, then you don't need to be there.
Absolutely. The dark side needs to show up. The whole town of Heath needs to show up for this game. Of course, I saw Longview tweet earlier this week that they will be playing for a district championship and a 1 seed as far as a home playoff game this Friday as well. So it would be great just to spoil that.
I don't know how that works because they got beat by Horn already.
Well, they could be playing for a 1 seed in essentially Division 2, essentially.
Gotcha. Okay.
So Heath could spoil all that fun. For that, so that would be something that we could look forward to and get that first victory against Longview. That would be something special, especially to give that team a nice boost for the next week against Horn. But first things first, you got to get that W against Longview. It's going to be a tough challenge, nonetheless, for Rockwall-Heath to go out there and get a W. Let's talk about, as far as Longview goes, their season in general. And they started out slow. Obviously, that first loss in district. East Texas went 0-3 that first week. Now goes back on it, and now Longview and John Tyler kind of pulled away. But John Tyler's still flirting with it as far as the playoff seeding goes. If Rockwall-Heath wins this week, they're in, no matter what. Doesn't matter what happens. If they lose, then we kind of start flip-flopping a little bit with a tie between John Tyler, Heath, and Rockwall. It looks like we've decided, as far as it goes, that even if Heath loses the next 2 and John Tyler loses 1, it looks like RISD in general will take that 3 and 4 seed no matter what. But we got to hope that John Tyler does lose a game. And if Rockwall-Heath can win a game, it doesn't matter what anyone else does. So first things first, get that W in Longview. Don't got to worry about anything else.
Yeah, I think from what I can tell, and somebody else may have put pencil to paper and figured something out, I think from what I can tell, Heath has pretty much secured a playoff spot. Maybe somebody knows something I don't know, but they've got 4 wins in district already, and they've got some tie-breaking things that, with the win over Rockwall, and with Rockwall's big win over Tyler, I really can't figure out a scenario where Heath isn't in the playoffs. At the very worst, they would take the final seed in the playoffs. The best Rockwall can do is come back and tie Heath, and then Heath has the head-to-head against them, of course. So I think that they're in. I really can't figure out a way that they aren't in. But let's just put all that aside for a minute. You still have district championship in front of you. Play the Longview. You win at Longview on Friday night. You got a showdown, senior night on our home field next Friday night at Wilkerson Sanders to play for the district title. And you're right, it doesn't matter what Horn does this week. If Heath wins Friday night, those two are playing for the district championship next Friday night at Wilkerson Sanders.
And of course, if you're cheering for RSD in general, you want Horn to win against JT this week.
Right.
Then that puts both Rockwall SD schools into the playoffs, which would be great. For all that pageantry goes. We'd love to have both of our schools very much alive in the playoffs.
And let me put this out there too. Another thing that you're potentially playing for this week is home field in the first round. Say Heath splits their next 2 games, they win this week or they win against Horn, one or the other. They've basically got a number 2 seed then. One way or the other, I believe, they've got a good shot at getting a number 2 seed, which would be the number 1 lower division seed. They could host a first-round game in the playoffs. So we may not be done at Wilkerson after next week, but you got to go take care of business and win either this week or next week against Horn for that to even be a possibility. Let's just take this week here and let's go get it against Longview.
So after all that, just go get the W this week. That's all we need, right?
That's all
we need, exactly.
Hey, it's as easy as that.
It's as easy as that. Go get that win in Longview against Longview, a team that never loses at their home field. But until this Friday, hopefully we can pop shocker. And Rockwall-Heath has never beaten Longview, 0-3. So hopefully they can find a way to get that first W.
But you know what? Right? As these guys said, maybe Heath is 0-3 against Longview. These guys have never played at Longview.
Exactly.
This is a team that's never played there. Now, last year, Longview came to Wilkerson and spanked them pretty good, beat them by a couple of touchdowns. 35-21, I think, was the final score. Heath was competitive in that game, and you have almost the entire team back this year that played last year. They know what they're up against. So many returning seniors. Hey, this is what these guys have been playing varsity for the last 3 years for. How many players on this team have been on varsity for at least 3 years, some of them 4 years now? They've been playing for these 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
So that they can be competitive and pull off a win at Longview, so they can be competitive next week and possibly win a district championship. Guys, you've been working for 3 or 4 years for these 2 weeks. Don't leave anything behind.
I'm going to go run through a door now.
Yeah.
Man, I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
And, of course, real quick, I want to give 2 shout-outs to some college players. Of course, to Sean Elliott from the Longhorns. Pick 6. Good for him, of course. And Trevor Elbert seems to be getting a lot of good offers from D1 schools. TCU was added to the mix as well. So congratulations to him getting his career back on track after those injuries. So we wish him the best of luck. Great to see him out there. And, of course, also, Kanan Smith was at the game on Thursday night.
Was he?
The former Rockwall-Heath Hawk. checking out his Hawks, and of course he might be playing
He's
for the Yankees
doing, very
in
well
about
for
a year.
himself.
So,
yeah, they're really high on him in the Yankees organization.
He's going to have a new bench coach here pretty soon. Not really knowing who it's going to be, but I'm excited for all three of those guys.
Yeah.
Great for them and representing Rockwall-Heath to the best of their ability. So good for them. And of course, a big one this Friday night. If you can't join us, it's www.rockwallisd.com to check out Steve Deere and his crew, of course, hoping for a big Rockwall-Heath victory. Any final thoughts? It's Rockwall-Heath versus Longview.
I'm just going to say it one more time. You've been working for literally 3 to 4 years. Most of these guys are only 17 years old or so. Basically, 25% of your entire life has been working toward this Friday night and then the following Friday night. Put it together. Let's lay it all out there, and let's pull off a victory Friday night.
Absolutely. It's rockwallisd.com to check out Rockwall-Heath versus Longview. District Championship still very much in sight for your Heath Hawks. Let's see if they can get it done this Friday. We'll see you then, 7:30 in Longview. Have a great week, everybody, and don't forget, go Heath Hawks. Have a great one, everybody.